Hey guys, how you doing? This is Charlie, aka Uncle Gnarly, and today I want to take a little bit of time talking about the Tr-8s Rhythm Performer, and specifically I want to talk about using it in a live setting. And now, you don't see a lot of videos on YouTube that talk about using it out live. Granted, we've been in a pandemic and there haven't been a lot of live shows lately, but we are starting to open up back here in the United States, and I did get to play a socially distanced seated live show. So I'll throw some videos up on that just so you can see exactly how I'm using it. But I just kind of want to go over how I did it, the three different ways that I used it live, and just my thoughts on it. Now, first, I'll start off by kind of explaining how my setup is going for this. I traditionally have an Ableton setup with a push, and all I'm doing is breaking down and bouncing individual tracks from my songs and putting them in a live session with separate scenes that will be kind of like, pads, leads, kick drum, snare, and I can turn everything on and off as I want. And then I have certain scenes that are going to be loops, certain scenes that are transitions, and whatnot. The only other thing that I've been doing live, other than I play saxophone and I sing live and play a little bit of lead stuff on the push, is I use this right here. This is the Pioneer RMX 500. It is a great little multi-effect machine. It uses a lot of the same effects that Pioneer has for their XDJ, I think, whatever the mixer is. So, it has the high pass, low pass, zip, spiral down, some noise sweeps, phaser. You can do this reverse delay. You can do a lot of really great things. It's super fun. I picked one up for about $200 a couple of years ago, and it's been great just as a way to get in transition and make things sound a little different than they are on the actual recording. Okay, so now to go through how I set this up. And what I did for this live performance, and what I'll continue to do, is I'm taking Ableton, sending it out through my interface, and bringing it into the extension in that is on the back of the Tr-8s. From there, you can have volume here, but in case you're getting too much or not enough signal, go ahead into the edit part, skip around over to the extension in, and you can actually have quite a bit of gain. I have mine at +6 for this set, but you can go all the way to 40, +40. You can go all the way to -40. Now, the great thing about this is if you saw here, the extension in actually has a side chain, which is fantastic especially when you're doing kind of electronic music. I have it set up to the bass drum. Then that's making all my Ableton sounds breathing with the kick drum, and it just helps glue everything together a little bit more. And then further note on the gluing is the master effect. Now, the master effect affects everything, the Tr-8s and the effects that are coming in, or the audio that's coming in. I have it to compressor. I think this compressor sounds pretty good. You can do other things. You can have a drive. There's distortion, fuzz, crusher, phaser. You can actually do a high pass, low pass, where 12 o'clock is no filter, and then you go left or right. But for my purposes, and because I have that RMX 500 to use for effects, I just kept it on the compressor, glues everything together really well. You can go in, change the ratio, attack, release, the depth of the compressor, a bunch of different things. So I have all the audio coming in, being compressed and sidechained to the Tr-8s, and then out of the Tr-8s into that RMX 500, from there to the sound tech, out to the speakers. And this worked really well, and it actually made my Ableton setup sound better than it had before, just because it had some kind of hardware compressor gluing everything together, and I really liked it. One more thing before I forget, when you're bringing the audio in Under the autofill, you can have a scatter effect. Now, if you run the scatter effect fill in, it will also mangle the audio that's coming in. So that's just something to be aware of. I like it. It has a little bit of a, the one I use has reverse in it. It mangles it around, but just beware that it's not just going to do the drums that are in the Tr-8s. It's going to do the audio that's coming in also. You might be able to turn it off. I don't know. Something to check the manual for. But I like it, and honestly, I only used it once or twice. Sounded good. It's a little weird. It's the scatter. Everyone knows the scatter. You either like it or you don't like it. If you don't have it in play mode and you're using it as a sound module, the sounds will still play, but the fills will not work. So just something to be aware of whether or not, you might want to use the fills. So the first way that I use this is to just play all the background sounds, the pads, the leads, the synthesizers, some percussion, and then put in all the drums myself. And the way I did is I just took a song that I already had written out and bounced down for a live set. I took out the drums, and now live, I'm just adding that stuff in. As you can see, I've pressed play on Ableton. It's starting to go, should be in time already. And so I'm going to start it, and during the intro, we're just going to start adding some stuff in there. Do it by the step record button. If you want, you can kind of just add stuff in by playing it. See, it writes it in there. My timing wasn't, oh no, my time was all right. All right. Play it loud with the control. That's a reverb send. There's a Roland snare. And I think you get the picture. Essentially, you can play it in. And by doing that, the nice thing is then the drum beat is going and going. And I can switch in between songs to the next song that uses that same kind of pattern, forward to the floor, change it up a little bit, and you just keep the party going. No stopping in between songs. And, it gives you something to play, something to do. I really like that part about it. Okay, so the second way that I use this is just as a sound module. And essentially what I mean is I was from Ableton sending MIDI messages. I took the drums from a song, broke them down into MIDI components, sent it over to the Tr-8s, and then you're going to hear it playing. The reason I do this is because not all my stuff is just for the floor house music. Some of it you'll hear is hip hop, taking it slower down. It's got a little more of an intricate beat to it that's not so easy to just type in or play in. So for this type of thing, you gotta make sure your volume is up. Make sure that if you do have a previous pattern play that you clear it out just like that. And All you got to do is press play and it does the rest of it for you. And so yeah, that shaker right now is coming right from here. I think you can actually, yeah, you can see it playing right down here. Comes in, the kick will hit. Change things around. Ooh, the nice long rumbling 808 decay if you want. What's fun about this is then you can go ahead, you see it's playing on the overheads or the open hi-hats. Change the tuning around. If you press utility, kit takes it back to the original state. Take things in and out if you want. And I really like this too because you can still play around with things. You know, if you want, you can still play in. Get a little bit of those triplets going in there. Very fun stuff. Okay, so the last way that I used the Tr-8s Live was to just play songs that I already built into it. And believe me, if you wanted to, you could play an entire set off of stuff that you've written and played and set up previously on this machine. So I took a chance to do that. I actually did it twice during my set, but it was super fun because it gives you a chance to really just look at this thing, not worry about Ableton. Now again, I use the RMX 500 to get myself into some builds and filtering and whatnot, but everything else was done for this machine. Now, when you're switching patterns over, because this is under a whole nother kit and pattern and whatnot, make sure you press stop, and because otherwise it will just start playing into the next pattern. And maybe you want that, maybe you don't. Another thing is I have to change the tempo up. And you could set up a live scene to change the tempo for you. But I have a push and it's real easy. There's a knob for it. You just turn it all the way up to however you need it. So let's see. Start playing this. Alright, there it goes. Now we'll pretend this is the end of the song because I actually have a song that is at the same tempo as this. And we can do a nice little smooth transition. And now you could keep it in this scene or in this pattern with this kit, but I want to go back to the 808 kick. And a way I can do this is that I actually have a vocal break in the intro of this song. What's going to hit right about now. Pause it. Change the pattern back. Bring the volumes up. And now is a sound module once again. Those drum sounds are coming from the Tr-8s. Nice, simple transition. All right. So that is all the ways that I currently am using the TR-8s, bringing it into a live performance. And I'll tell you, I absolutely just love this machine. It is so much fun to play. It sounds good. You can add your own samples. I am barely scratching the surface with this thing. And I hope as things start to open up more, I get to play more shows. Even if I start doing some more live streams, I just want to incorporate this thing as much as possible because I really think it sounds good. It's fun. It's got some cool effects in it, and it really adds to the overall live performance. As for now, that's about as far in as I've gone into the TR-8s. I hope that if you're thinking about buying one or you have one and you want to know more about it, that this video was able to help you and maybe clarify some things or maybe give you some inspiration on what you can do during a live performance or in the studio. But either way, thank you very much for joining me. Keep a lookout for more videos coming up soon. And if you have any questions, type them in the comments and I'll try and answer them as I can.